Anything yet, so come on, baby. Are we live on? Yep, I got it. There we go. We're live. Look at that, all spiffy.
And early.
Oh, and it's even captioning for us for the deaf. That's cool. That's new. New software. Look at that. That's really cool. Yeah, I spent all day getting this new software up and running. So, of course, that isn't isn't captioning very well because it said I spent all day and it said death.
Death. That's what I'm talking
I
about.
spent all death getting this software. It sure felt like I spent all my death getting the software up and running. So that's kind of funny. That's cool though. All right, so we're good to go.
It only shows waves.
Huh?
Dude, I got an idea. It just shows the wavelengths.
Well, yeah, that's our new precursor pre-show where we let people. And I got, excuse me, got a little bit of frog there in my throat. Why we let people join and get ready for the show, which we're 1 minute out from live show. Hopefully we got audio going out. Maybe I'll turn up my audio and check real quick just to be sure. Hey, yeah, we do. We got audio going out. Everything's working. Yay! Not like last time where we started and had no audio. So I'm happy about that. Hey, guess what?
What's that?
It's 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Ready?
Go.
Go?
Go.
Go. Okay,
Go.
here we go. I'm starting the show. 1, 2.
You're so slow.
And good evening. Welcome to yet another edition. What happened there? Did we lose our audio again? That's weird. Okay. Is audio going out? Because I'm not seeing it. It's being weird. Well, no, I can. It's seeing. I see it going out, but I'm not hearing it in our headphones.
Yeah, you're very quiet.
That is weird. Huh. Oh, well, anyway, I don't know why all of a sudden we lost our audio in our headphones, but that's. Oh, I see. What's going on here? Turn everything down, I turn it up, and bam, no audio in our headphones. But we can, as long as people can hear us, we're good. I'm going to keep going. So, welcome to the February 26, 2021 edition of Dude, I've Got an Idea. We've got some new software we're running tonight, and we've got our chat message. Hey, Sean says he can hear us just fine. He says, I have audio on my phone, but not the PC. That doesn't make sense. Huh. Well, that's probably on your end, Bill. I can't tell you. But anyway, we're broadcasting live from Lacey, Washington, somewhere deep underground, or at least 4 feet underground. Tonight, we're going to be talking a little bit about gun control and about the silly gun measures that the Democrats are trying to pass forward. Why? That is driving me nuts. That they're trying to pass, and we're going to get into it deep tonight. I'm James McEwen, James 1.0, as you can see on the screen. And sitting across from me is James 2.0, James Allen. Hey, James.
Hey, James.
Okay, now you're loud. Why am I so soft? You keep
Because I'm
talking. Let me see if I
2.0. I'm the better version.
Maybe it's just my mic is screwed up all of a sudden. But that's weird. Okay, weird. What the heck happened? Oh, I know what happened. I'm an idiot. You know what happened?
What's that?
I raised the wrong slider. I'm a little out of practice. Yeah, I got to engineer, run the show, do everything, and yeah, and I have the soundboard on the right side and the mouse that runs everything on the right side. So, oh boy. Anyway, so now that I can hear myself and everybody can hear me better, welcome to the show. There we go. Can't argue with the sound logic. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, this is going to be our new format that we're running here with this new software. So we've got it set up so people can see everybody else's texts and or messages and make comments. This should be fun. But we had said we kind of wanted to stay away from politics, but with what's going on in the world and seeing what's going on with gun rights, I was like, yeah, no, we can't stay silent on this one. It's just too important. I keep hearing the left and people on the left and liberals and Democrats, they keep saying, no one's coming for your guns. They're not going to take your guns. Have you heard that?
I have a lot, actually.
But I've got a little clip that just says the opposite. So, 1 second here.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against...
So, there's, that's a pretty famous clip of Beto O'Rourke back in the primaries talking about taking guns. And he says straight up, hell yes, we're going to take your guns. So my question to those on the left is, why should we not believe what they're saying they want to do?
I believe them.
It's a clear, you believe them straight up. But my argument, or my what I'm saying is why should we not believe them? I mean, they're telling us straight up what they want to do. Why should we not believe them? I mean, give me a good reason. To anybody out there, give me a good reason why you should not believe what they're saying. Oh, the Second Amendment, right? Maybe.
They don't believe in it. So
They don't believe in it. Maybe. Maybe not.
I don't know. I don't think they do. I think an amendment is just something they're trying to legislate out of their way.
Yeah. So the Second Amendment has been under attack for a long time, but nothing like it has been in this recent history. One of the things that has just got my blood up and what's got me boiled is this Congresswoman from Texas, Sheila Jackson Lee. She's put forth 5 gun control bills under the guise of safety. And if you listen to how they're trying to frame things now, they're trying to say, we're not going to try to take your guns. Nobody's after your guns, even though they said they were. What they're saying is it's a public health crisis, and we have to do something about it. We have to deal with this, quote-unquote, gun violence. I hate that term. Absolutely hate that term. I don't know what you think of the term, but I hate that term.
I don't know. I haven't seen my guns movie yet.
What, your guns don't get up and commit violence on their own?
No. At least, maybe I was sleeping. I don't know. But not that I've seen.
Well, see, the reason I hate that term is because it's a tool, and it can be used good, bad, and not at all. It's a tool. And violence comes from the person wielding the tool, So why aren't we labeling it human violence?
I don't know. Maybe we should actually get a couple spears out and then go and see if they're as dangerous as guns. Maybe that'll open some eyes.
Well,
here's the thing about guns. Police officers wear bullet-resistant vests in the United States. Why? Because there's a lot of guns and cops get shot, right?
That's right.
That's a fair statement.
Yep.
Well, what do they do in countries where they've primarily banned guns? Like the UK and Australia. What do the cops wear there?
Don't they still wear? They wear knife vests, don't they?
They wear stab vests.
Yeah.
Why? Because people stab cops with knives. So you take the guns away, people resort to knives. You take the knives away, people will resort to clubs or sticks or rocks or whatever. So violence is really a people problem, not a gun problem. And then, there's people on the left are going to say, hey, but James, you can kill a lot of people with a gun really quickly. Yeah. But do you know how fast you can kill people with a knife, too?
Yep.
Really quickly. Hey, Jesse, thanks for joining us. Yeah, prohibition never solves anything. It only makes things worse. And it's interesting that with the push to decriminalize everything, especially here in Washington State, and with the recent Washington State Supreme Court decision. Did you hear about this?
What was that?
The Washington Supreme Court just ruled that the felony drug possession law is in Washington State is unconstitutional the way it's written, because the way it was written doesn't have to prove intent, or that the person had to have intent of knowledge that they were possessing drugs. Meaning, in the cases, the woman had a pair of jeans. Some methamphetamines were found in the little coin pocket of the jeans. She claimed she didn't know that she had purchased it from a Goodwill and didn't know the drugs in there and they weren't hers. She still got popped for felony drug possession. Now, that could be legitimate. It could happen because, a lot of Goodwills, they just put the clothes back out on the floor if they're clean and stuff. They don't search through them. They don't empty them. Because I don't know how much stuff you've bought from Goodwill, but, I bought quite a bit of stuff of Goodwill over the years and found quarters and other stuff in the pockets. So it's very possible that she could be telling the truth. So this is a good test case for that. But now, because of that, law enforcement's going to back off and they're going to say, we're not going to pop people for having felony drug possession, until the legislature fixes it, because anything that we do is going to get thrown out. So now that's going to embolden criminals more. We already have, especially in King County, prosecutors and judges that just revolve and letting people go, Goldwill is gold mine, apparently. Yeah, I guess so.
I never got as lucky as James. I've never got anything in my pockets.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
I don't pick the good jeans. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's because I shake them first and listen. Nope. Put that one back in the rack. But so you have a time in which you have crime going rampant. You have people not doing anything about it, and they want to disarm us, and they can't. They know they can't do it by outright confiscation, so they're trying to be sneaky. And I know you had the bill pulled up. You want to talk a little bit about this? Is House Resolution 127. This is the really big baddie that Sheila Jackson Lee put forth.
So the first thing I see on here, in the requirements, so you have to be 21 of age to have a weapon to get these licenses. So I have an issue with that already, because my 18-year-old was gifted a rifle from his grandfather. So what, do I have to maintain it until he grows to be 21? And yeah, so, and then you have to undergo a background check. So I don't know if anybody out there has ever actually went and got a gun, but guess what? You have to have a background check already. I had to wait, 21 days in order to get my rifle. And then you have to undergo a psychological evaluation. And then you have to complete... Oh, go ahead.
Which is what a lot of people don't know about the psychology world. It's one of the only professions where psychologists actually have to see another psychologist at least once a year to keep their license. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they have to make sure that the psychologists aren't nuts. And they're the ones who are deciding whether you get to keep your gun rights or not.
Yep.
Yeah, something to think about.
So part 3 in the Requirement 1 General License is successfully complete a training course certified by the Attorney General in use, safety, and storage of a firearm. Includes at least 24 hours of training. What do you think about that, James?
I'm not opposed to safety training for people, but who's going to pay for it, and who's going to instruct it, and how are you going to certify those instructors? And one of my problems with these forced safety stuff is it then becomes a business. And when it becomes a business, it then becomes priced out of the range of a lot of people who really need firearms. Because people who can afford really good training and the safe storage and all of that generally live in neighborhoods and go to places where you really don't need a gun. It's the low income, it's the working mothers, it's people who live in areas where there's a high crime. They're the people who are going to suffer. They're the people who are not going to be able to afford the training because they're going to set that so high. It's just another barrier to access, basically.
Yep. And then the last on these requirements is after you get your license, the individual will have, in effect, an insurance policy issued under this subsection.
See, again, my problem with all this is they're trying to license a right. And see, under the Constitution, under the law, licenses are something that is granted to you by the government to give you the okay to, it's a privilege. We're going to allow you to do this. Okay? A right is something the government has no jurisdiction over. They cannot tell you you cannot do that. So there is no anything in the Constitution that says they can license a right. Now, people say, well, you have a driver's license. Yes. But there's nowhere in the Constitution that guarantees you the right to drive.
You don't have to have a license to ride a horse around. That's what they used back then.
Yep. But driving is a privilege. It is not a constitutionally guaranteed right. So therefore, they can legally force you to get a license. But firearms, totally different story. So by trying to force you into getting a license, it's just also another backdoor gun registration. And gun registrations, if you do any research into it, always leads to confiscation. And confiscation of disarmed populations always leads to suppression and usually mass casualties of political enemies of the ruling class. It's happened time and time again. You can look it up. It's all across the internet. And it's all across history. It's something that the conservatives know, gun people know, and it's something that they're trying to erase from history. That's why this revisionist history. That's why they're framing this as a health crisis instead of what it really is. It's a push to disarm the population so they can change the laws so they can get more control. COVID-19 has been an unprecedented event, an unprecedented power grab. And if you don't think they're using that to also strip you of your Second Amendment rights, you're nuts, because that's what they're doing. And they said they were going to do it. And the thing is, people, it drives me nuts. I've talked, because I try to be as friendly as I can to everybody. And I have friends, people that I like and respect, that are self-proclaimed liberals. I'm not going to label them that, but they label themselves out there, and they're proud of that. They're proud to be Biden supporters and supporters of the Democrats, and that's fine. That's their right. But to me, they don't understand what they're supporting, what they're doing. They don't understand when you tell them what these people are doing. They look at you and they go, "Oh, you're just a Trumpster. You're just a conspiracy nut." And you're like, "No, it's on their website." Like, when I talk about Biden's gun control plans before the election, people just, on the left didn't want to hear it. They just say, "Oh, you're full of it. He's not going to do any of that. That's all BS." Where'd you get that from? His website. That's their words. It's amazing how we're told we're living denial, but yet they're the ones who are actually living in denial. Huh. What's up with that? My Facebook just closed on my phone. That's weird.
It didn't want to see you anymore.
It's like, no, you're done. But yeah, and it's also interesting is how the left and the people who are making the laws are so uneducated about firearms. And I'm about to prove that point. I got a little video here. Hang on a second.
The weapon, I've held an AR-15 in my hand. I wish I had it. It is as heavy as 10 boxes that you might be moving. And the bullet that is utilized, a 50 caliber, these kinds of bullets.
Okay, that was Sheila Jackson Lee, the one who's written the legislation we're talking about. She just said an AR-15 is about as heavy as 10 boxes you'd be moving, right? Really? About as heavy as 10 boxes. Well, I just happen to have an AR-15 right here. I gotta get it in the camera. Ugh. This happens to be my wife's AR-15, and I'm holding it one-handed. See? Well, it's kind of hard to balance, but...
Yeah, you're shaking over there.
Yeah, there. One-handed. See? One-handed. It is not that heavy. And, you know what? They come in different sizes. James has got one over there. She's going to hold up.
Yep.
That is an AR-15 pistol. You got to hold it up a little higher. There you go. See, that one's even lighter. That's a 7-inch barrel. Not heavy. Yeah, he's going to hold it with one finger. See? Not big old heavy guns. They're just scary looking because they're black. All right? Yeah. So, now, she said, I'm going to play this again.
It's either not heavy or I'm really strong.
Yeah, he's Mr.
Universe.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Let me play this again for you. Listen to what she says about the bullet it takes.
The weapon, I've held an AR-15 in my hand. I wish I had it. It is as heavy as 10 boxes that you might be moving. And the bullet that is utilized, a 50 caliber, these kinds of bullets.
Okay, 50 caliber bullet. These kinds of bullets. All right. I couldn't get an actual loaded 50 cal because they're kind of expensive and hard to get a hold of. But my neighbor, who does shoot them, was gracious enough to give me a brass from a 50 cal. This is an empty casing. Okay, I want you to see how big that is. Okay, that is a 50 cal brass. Now, this is the brass and the bullet from a 223 that goes in an AR-15. Now I'm going to put them up side by side. 223, 50 cal. 223, 50 cal. See a little bit of a difference? Sheila Jackson Lee is an ignoramus. She is ignorant of firearms. And this is the woman who is writing and putting forth the legislation that wants to restrict or strip you of your gun rights. Really? Is this the person that should be doing this? Personally, I think a lot of things. But I think when it comes to Congress, we need some really sweeping reforms. One of those is term limits. But I also think that bills should be sponsored by someone who knows what the hell they're talking about.
Oh, I can think of an organization right now.
What?
The NRA.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is that, okay, normally obviously a special interest group went to her. They wrote the bill and got her to sponsor it. That's what that happened. She didn't write this. She has no idea what she's talking about. She just signed off on it. But I think what has to happen is that if they're going to do that, the NRA and the anti-gun people need to sit down and they need to go. You need to have a class with both people, and you need to understand the issue from both sides before you agree to sponsor a bill. I think that should be written into the rules of Congress. So at least you have some, if you're going to force us to take, you're force us to take training, then you should have some training or knowledge of what you're doing. Glenda says she disagrees. She knows she's lying. Well, she could be. I don't know. I don't know the woman, but the way she talks, she comes across as very ignorant, of the subject. But, I think that what we are seeing, I never thought I'd see in my lifetime, to see this push for basically a communist country, and we're going that way. What these people are doing, and I'm going to say it flat out, is evil. Plain and simple. It is evil. Communism has killed more people than any other system of government. And that's a fact. It is a fact. It is an undisputable fact. Capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other governmental system. That is an undisputable fact. Now, unregulated, unfettered capitalism, that's a problem. And that's, we've had some problems with that. And that's kind of where we're at because of that. So we need to find a balance, and, we need to rein in some of these billionaires. But do we take from people who've worked really hard and give to people who do nothing? Is that fair? No. What would be fair?
So unless you want more people doing nothing, then, yeah, they need to come up with something else. Because right now, the capitalism is the best thing that's out there right now, as long as there are some controls.
Yep. The problem is we are losing. We're losing the fight. We're losing the battle. And we need to step up and we need to fight. We need to write letters. We need to get out there, get our voices heard. We need to push back against all of this. We need to push back against the false narratives. We need to, a lot of ways fight like the Democrats do. Fight with boycotts and start being Karens. I hate to say it, but start whining and crying and complaining about everything they do. Start using their own tactics against them. That's the only way we're going to win.
And stop being the silent majority for at least a little while.
Yeah, because we can't sit by and do nothing, because we're going to lose. We're going to lose our country. I mean, you look at all that is going on, and I don't know how anybody can look at and see what's going on. Look at the Capitol. Look at Washington, D.C. We still have how many troops there and a wall around the Capitol?
I thought walls didn't work.
Only if you're, the elite.
Oh, maybe.
But here in Washington State, they want to pass some similar gun control measures, including banning high capacity magazines. And they tried that in California, and what surprised me is the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, a very liberal court, overturned it, said it was unconstitutional. And yet they're still trying to pass it this legislative session, which to me is like, okay, wait a minute. It's already been thrown out in California. Why are you trying to pass it here? Because it's just going to be challenged and thrown out again, which is a waste of taxpayer money. I wish we could prosecute, these people and charge them for the waste and the wasted tax dollars. I mean, that should be pissing people off more than anything, not just the assault on their rights. I mean, if people want to stick their heads in the sand, that's fine, whatever. But you're paying for all this. It just kills me. It just gets me. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the high capacity magazines and why this fallacy of Joe Biden says get a shotgun and you don't need 10 or more than 10 rounds. What do you need 100 rounds for? I didn't get a chance to get those clips and edited today, but it's life is not like the movies. Most people, thank God, will never have to shoot anybody or never see anybody shot. Most people will never be put into that situation. But if you are, one bullet, very rarely, unless you hit them in the head and in certain spots in the head or in the heart, is not going to drop somebody. And sometimes it takes multiple rounds to drop somebody. And so I'm going to show a video, and because it is graphic, it is a video of a shooting, I do need to put that disclaimer on there. So if you have small kids in the room, or you are not into violence, or you're disturbed by violence, please be warned. Turn off the stream for a minute, or turn away from your phone for a minute, or for a few seconds. It's only a few seconds long. But I want you to really pay attention to this video. And this was an individual who was, as far as I know, he wasn't on any drugs. He was just hyped up and angry. And just look at how many times or how many bullets he soaks up before he goes down. So here we go.
Man, shoot his ass! Shoot his ass! Damn!
12 rounds. That guy took 12 rounds before he went down. Now, that deputy tried backing up. He tried talking to him. He tried everything to get the guy to back down. But, it didn't it didn't work. Nothing stopped this guy until he had to shoot him.
The guy had an unlicensed stick.
Yeah.
He used it as a weapon. Has to
Yeah.
be licensed.
Yeah. Did my chat? Oh, hold on a second. I'm just checking something. Because all of a sudden I'm wondering if my chat did stop functioning. I think it's still working. Okay. Anyway, so this idea that you shoot one bullet and the guy goes down. Now, that deputy dropped 12 rounds into the guy, and that deputy was a pretty big guy. Now imagine if you're, a 100-pound woman. Maybe you're a grandma. Maybe you're a disabled vet. Maybe you're not a big person. Guns are the great equalizer. Guns make everybody equal. Okay, I'm 6'3.5". I used to say I was 6'4", but I think I'm shrinking. And I'm 340 pounds. I'm a big guy. I am, the kind of guy that most people, when I'm walking down the aisle, the supermarket or whatever, if you don't know that I'm a nice guy, people just kind of get out of the way. They just move, crowds part. I never worry about people in my way. Not that I am trying to be intimidating or anything. It's just people see my size and they move. And so I don't really have a problem with people. But my wife, she's 5'7". And, when we were younger, she was really small. And she had problems all the time. And even now, once in a while, issues with people. And, I've gotten her a concealed permit. Hey, I just get out of the way. That's funny. I got her concealed permit and got her a 9mm that she now carries. Because, and the funny thing is for years we lived up here in Washington, and she never felt like she needed one, and now she does. That's how much things have changed. But she doesn't fear someone my size now because she has the tool to make them equal. And that's what guns do. It's a tool. And what makes me so angry about these people is the audacity and the hypocrisy. All of them have money. All of them have armed security. They have good tools to protect them and their family. What gives them the right to tell me what tools I can choose or use to protect me or my family? Every one of us, every single American has been given that right, guaranteed to you in the Constitution. Okay? This is something that the Founding Fathers understood. They understood because they just fought a war against a tyrant government. Now, everybody talks about history and the revolution and about taxation without representation and blah, 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 blah. But that isn't what started the revolution. The day that the British marched through Lexington and Concord, they weren't marching to collect taxes. They were marching to take guns. They had gotten information. AR-15s, black guns matter. Yes, they were marching to take. They had gotten a wind of a weapons cache, and they were marching to seize that cache. And the Americans were not going to let them because they'd already seized some the week or so before. And that was the last straw, and that's when, the shot was heard. The shot heard around the world happened at Lexington Green, and that started the revolution. And, it's not going to end well if they go after the guns. But they know that, so they're going to try to make it so expensive that you cannot afford them. One of the things that you didn't bring up there was the registration and the registration fees and the taxes. They want to make it so you have to register your AR-15, your regular old rifle, okay? Register this with the ATF and pay $200 a year per rifle that you own, okay? And if you have multiple of them, that gets pretty expensive. And if every high-capacity magazine you own, you would have to register those and pay $200 and get a tax stamp on those. So you could be paid thousands and thousands of dollars to keep what you already own, what you legally have the right to own. This is part of their plan to strip you of your rights, is to tax you out of your rights.
So in the HR 127, firearms insurance is under Section D. Number 2 is fee. The fee specified in this paragraph is $800.
Mm-hmm. Firearms insurance.
Yep.
What do I need firearms insurance for? Does it
Keep
specify
me from
that?
having a firearm.
I mean, okay. For what? In case I hurt someone with it?
Well, it doesn't specify.
Yeah,
what
so
the
it doesn't
insurance for.
specify. Why do I need firearm insurance? In case somebody steals it from me and goes to hurt someone with it? I mean, what's the firearms insured for?
Yeah, that's what it's for. Of this subsection, a policy that insures a person's liability from a loss or damage resulting in the use of any firearm by a person during the first year period that begins the date of the policy.
So I'm now responsible for the acts of others because we no longer believe in personal responsibility.
That's right.
Yep. Gotta love it. Just gotta love it. Not really, but. So, no, I think that Glenda says our rights are granted by God and protected by the government. I would disagree with that. Our rights are granted by God and protected by us, the people. And we need to stand up and protect our rights because the government is going to do it for us. And the government's going to strip us of our rights if we let them. And this is the thing that people need to understand. And this is what we need to get out to people is the government, being usually a loose, small amount of people who are generally a body of people who are ungoverned. But they are a small body of people. The power lies in the people. We have the power. We just don't realize we have the power. People need to stand up and say enough is enough. Just the same as uninsured motorist insurance protected by the Constitution. Yes, it's supposed to be protected by the Constitution, but the Constitution is only as good as the people who hold it up. And if people stop holding up the Constitution and stop living and abiding by the Constitution doesn't mean anything. And that's the problem, is the people on the left have figured this out, and they have figured out this is a generational issue, a generational fight. And they have a lot longer vision than a lot of us on the right. And they have figured out that we have to teach kids that the Constitution is outdated and it doesn't matter. And that, we need to change things. And change is a good thing.
Or it's a living constitution.
A living document,
Yeah.
But I would say we need to uphold the Constitution And we need to hold people accountable who take oaths to uphold the Constitution and defend the Constitution, and they don't. And that's one of the things is we don't do. I mean, when was the last time you saw any politician that took an oath that broke that oath that ever suffered real consequences for it? I mean, seriously, where are your emails there, Clinton? You know, there's so many out there. There's so much corruption. There's so much that that nobody does anything about it. You know, it's like everybody's just so wrapped up in their lives that nobody's paying attention to what's really going on behind the scenes. And I'm afraid that if we don't start screaming and start standing up, you know, that it'll be too late. I think that we still have a chance. I think that we still have a chance for peaceful means. I'm not advocating violence. I'm not saying that we need to rise up, and because right now, if you rise up, you'll just get squatted down, you know. But I think that, you know, there's enough of us. There's enough people that can put enough pressure. Vote with your dollars. Look how the corporations are pandering to the left because they're so afraid of that the left, you know, the people won't buy their products or this and that because the left has learned how to weaponize boycotts. Well, if we start doing that, you know, maybe we can shift some of that stuff back to the way it should be. You know, I think that we need to take some of the tactics they're using and use them against them. You know, weaponize the boycotts, use the boycotts. The problem with the left is they're not live and let live. They're you will live by our way or else. And the people on the right are respectful and, you know, hey, let me live my way and sorry. Bill just said, did Mr. Potato Head own an AR? He's not Mr. Potato Head anymore, Bill. He's now Potato Head.
Gender neutral.
Yeah, because, you know, we might offend someone with Mr. or Mrs. Which, you know, I'm going to take a second and get off the topic of guns and get into the whole gender neutral potato head issue. I would think that the transgender community would love the potato head toys. Do you know where I'm going with this?
No.
Do you ever have a potato head toys? Did you ever buy them for your kids?
Well, I used to have them growing up, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head. You had all the parts.
You can rearrange them any way you wanted.
Exactly. Mr. Potato Head could become Mr. Potato Head. Mr. Potato Head could become Mrs. Potato Head. Or you could, you know, make them both. Potato Head, Mr. Potato Head or Mrs. Potato Head. They were the perfect transgendered toy.
That's right.
So why the hell did they have to go make them gender neutral?
They're trying to appease a crowd.
They're trying to neuter America. The potato head can't carry 10 boxes. That's true. Oh. You know what happens if a potato carries 10 boxes?
Mashed potatoes.
That's right. It becomes mashed potatoes.
Non-binary spuds.
But yeah, we're living in bizarro land. Everything's turned upside down. Right is left, left is right. You know, up is down, down is up. But you know, kids are not being treated. You know, taught to respect firearms. They're taught to be afraid of them. There was a story just in the news here locally about a girl, I think it was in Tacoma, over the last couple of days. That shot herself accidentally playing with her mom's gun, trying to make a video, and she just died in the hospital like 2 days later. And oh, hey, Kate, my daughter just chimed in. And it's a tragic story, and it's sad. And everybody on the left saying, well, you know, she shouldn't have had access to the gun, and she should have stored it properly, and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, you can make those arguments. But, you know, I grew up around guns. I always had access to guns. When I was a kid, I used to have a little 22 pump action 22. I used to go out in the desert and shoot, you know, all the time. You know, it just was the culture I grew up in. But my dad and my grandparents, you know, my grandfather had this idea that you didn't make it a mystery. It wasn't something that was mysterious or that was to be played with. You know, you were trained very early on to respect it, to respect the power of it. And you were trained very early on how dangerous it can be, but how much fun it can be too, and how to use it properly, and how to respect the rules of firearm safety. And putting down that respect and that training early on has led me through a life of proper gun safety and a lot of gun handling and a lot of fun and a career which, you know, over the last 26 years, I've carried a firearm both professionally and privately, and I've had to pull my firearm to stop crimes. Luckily, I've never had to shoot anybody. The gun itself was enough of a deterrent, but I was prepared to. So, you know, I never, as a kid, ever wanted to play with my dad's guns because they weren't a mystery to me. You know, I never thought, oh, it would be fun to go out and hang out and play guns, and it's so cool. You know, I knew what they were. I knew what they were for. And if I wanted to shoot them, I would go shoot them, or get my dad and my brothers would go shoot them. You know, it wasn't a big thing. Yeah, as Kaylin says, just teach kids about gun safety. Boom, problem solved. One of the things, I couldn't find the video. I wanted to also kind of wrap things up with, and I wish I had time to find it today, but it was a psychologist who has been studying mass shooters for a while, and his take on it was really, really interesting about mass shooters. He found that from Adam Lanza to the Columbine shooters to every mass shooter, especially the school shooters, all had came from fatherless homes. They were missing that father in their lives and the traditional marriage. And what he was saying is that even where people in the modern world where they may not get married and they have kids, it seems like the father stays around for maybe 1 to 2 years and then ends up splitting and doesn't really stay much into the kid's life. That is more the norm than the is more the rule than the exception in his research. Okay, and what he was saying is that intervention of having a father makes all the difference in the world. And you look at what Black Lives Matters, right on their website, one of their things is they want to destroy the nuclear family. They want to destroy the family. That's only going to exacerbate the problem, according to this guy's research. And I tend to believe that research. I find it interesting that you look at his research. Now I'm going to go off a little bit of a deep end tangent for you, but I don't know how many of you watched, what was it, Penn State, the Paranormal State, and some of the ghost hunting shows and stuff. And most of those are BS. They're made for television and stuff. But I've kind of been down that ghost hunting road, and I find it very interesting, and it's one of those fascinating things to me. But one of the things I found is this trend of troubled children and demon possessions and people that have hauntings, there's a very high, and poltergeists, a very high trend amongst these activities in homes without fathers, and usually around teenage girls. It's weird, but it seems to happen. There's also some paranormal research that suggests that what do you call it? Poltergeists are actually not quote unquote spirits or evil spirits, but are actually the angst or the anxiety of the young female being exacerbated and being reflected off of certain minerals in the ground. Because, and again, this is all paranormal research, so take it for what it's worth, But oh yeah, also Glenda points out also all the mass shooters are on antidepressants. That's another thing is if you look at there's a marketable trend between the number of mass shootings in the last 50 years and the number of kids on antidepressants in the last 50 years. You can graph them and they almost match identical. So you've got fathers not being in the home, you've got depression and the pharmaceuticals are being pushed on the kids. It's probably a whole facet of problems that create the mass shooter. I don't think you could blame it on just one thing. I think the increased violence on television and video games. Again, I think I'm a big fan of violent video games for myself because for me, I find it to be a quiet release. I think there's a lot of people still walking this earth because I was able to go take my frustrations out on a video game instead of on a human being.
Yep.
But I think that when you take, I think the mass shooter, I think is like a recipe. Violent video games by itself is not a cause, but I think you add in antidepressants and you add it in a fatherless home. You're throw in some eggs and some flour and bake for 20 years or 10 years. Throw in a little bullying and let's throw in some cyberbullying and bam, there you go. You got a mass shooter. Cook for 5 years on 450 degrees or whatever. I think that's what creates them.
Yep, I agree.
But I'm not a psychologist. But so I guess my point of this whole show was to try to educate people a little bit about guns, about how politicians are completely and utterly ignorant about guns, about how we need to realize that our rights are in jeopardy. We need to say stuff, step up, call your congresspeople, call your senators, make your voice heard, push back, not just on Facebook, but actually out there, talk to people. Don't back down. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Get out there, talk, vote with your dollars. If there's a company that is backing stuff that you don't like, don't support them. Don't go there. Don't buy their goods. I know that can be hard sometimes because sometimes maybe it's something you really like, or maybe it's something that's maybe it's something that you really need, or they're only a producer of it, but there's a lot of other ways that we can fight back. It's at some point it may come to the point where we have to take our country back by force. I certainly hope that we don't. I certainly hope that we can resolve this through peaceful means. I certainly hope that we can take it back by civil actions, and I think that we still have a window to do that. Do we trust the people in mental health professions? I certainly don't. That's a good question. I think that a lot of people who work in the mental health professions, because I know quite a few of them over the years of having to work at, with what I do on the weekends, are good people, and they're trying really to help people. I think they're part of a bigger system. I think that, like in anything, you throw people into the mix, you're going to have bad people and you're going to have bad agendas. I think mental health professionals, I wouldn't say that they're certainly not untrustworthy. I'd be more untrusting of pharmaceutical people than mental health people, because pharmaceuticals just want to solve every little problem with drugs. And, it's like, remember Star Trek, the new one, the first one, J.J. Abrams, Star Trek, where Kirk, he's trying to get Kirk on the Enterprise.
Oh,
and so he gives him something, and he's like, "Oh, I got numb tongue. I can't." He's tongue to all. He's like, well, I got something for that." And he gives him something else, and then his hands all start getting big. He's like, "Oh crap! Wait! I got something for that." And pretty soon he's giving him all sorts of stuff. That's how pharmaceuticals work. So, and those are the pros that are going to evaluate us for our guns. Yeah, I made that comment earlier. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be evaluated for my rights. No one should be, until you've actually proven yourself to be a danger to others. Your rights should never be in question. We're cruising, because to me that's like saying Minority Report. We're gonna say that you are guilty before you've done anything. You have to have a psychological exam for what? To own a firearm. But that's my right. Oh, too bad. But that's my right. We don't care. That's what it comes across to.
But that's my right.
Yeah, well, they don't give a crap about your rights.
Yeah, I know.
They pick a big old steaming turd right on top of your rights. But we can't let them. So, but it's 8 o'clock. We've been jaw-jacking at these people for an hour on a Friday night, and I'm sure they have better things to do. Really appreciate you guys joining us, and we're going to... gun control should be kept in the X-string, yeah. Actually, you know what my favorite gun control thing is?
What's
Two
that?
hands on the gun. Gun control.
That's right.
But, so we're going to try 2 weeks from now if we can make it happen. But we're going to try, the Zoom show if people want. I will post on Wednesday and then the following Wednesday to make sure we're going to do it, and how you get the link to join the Zoom show. So if you want to come on Zoom and meet other Dude Nation people and actually be part of the show and be on camera and say hi. And it was a suggestion by one of the viewers, and said, "Hey, we should do a Zoom show." And I thought, you know what? I bet you no other podcast out there has ever done a Zoom show. So we're going to give it a try. And there's probably good reason for it, because, in this crowd, the show will probably go way off the rails. But, we'll give it a shot.
We're authorized one or two of those.
So, off the rail shows. Yeah. So, anyway, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight and joining us and listening to us ramble on. So,
Yep. Thanks for coming.
come on, go. I was trying to get our end of the show music going here. Are we going?
I don't know.
It's not going.
You're going slow again.
Things are broken. So much for the end of the show music. I don't know what happened. Oh, well.
Epic fail.
Epic fail is right. So we have no end of show music tonight. Oh, well. We'll just leave it with this. You guys have a great night. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Have a good night.
See you later.